or 11. I was watching an anime about wolves and see the wolf running across the screen, and I'm somehow just intrinsically like, oh, that's me.
Yo, big dog, what the is this? Oh, what's good, YouTube? It's Rashad Crenshaw back again with another video. Now I'm going to be reviewing Matt Walsh's film, What is a Woman? It's a film about basically the new era of transgenderism that we're in. Now, me personally, no big issue with transgenders or transgenderism, but he is challenging the narrative of what is a woman. Is a woman an actual thing, or is it just a phrase or a term that we are slowly but surely diluting as a culture? So let's dive into it. Matt Walsh interviews a woman who claims that she is a wolf. Let's check it out.
I am a 27-year-old transgender woman. I am a wolf therian and a member of the furry fandom.
When and how did you discover this inner wolfness?
Probably around age 10 or 11. I was watching an anime about wolves and see the wolf running across the screen, and I'm somehow just intrinsically like, oh, that's me.
Have you spent any time around biological wolves?
Yes.
That sounds dangerous also. What context are you?
So I was a volunteer with a preserve, and I've also visited many wolf preserves.
Are you able to communicate with the wolves?
Am I going to have a conversation with a wolf in the way that I'm communicating you and I? Obviously not.
So this chick watched the anime and believes that she's now a wolf. This is a direction that we're going in as a society where people think they can just be anything. Rachel Dolezal thinks she's black. This chick thinks she's a wolf. People are going slowly but surely insane and off the deep end of reality. We live in a world now that is so comfortable and so far removed from survival, warfare, the realities of survival that go far beyond having to have a job, far beyond having to work 8 to 9 hours a day. To the point of comfort, to the point where we're so far removed from the harsh realities of this world that we are now engaging in insane levels of fantasy. What is happening here? He goes on to interview the Maasai tribe in Kenya, asking them what is a woman, and can a woman be a man, or can a man be a woman? Let's take a look.
What if a man decides that his gender identity is woman?
A woman has its own duty, and a man has its own duty, and a lady cannot do the duty of a man, and a man cannot do a duty of a woman.
Can a man become a woman?
No.
No?
No.
What about a transgender?
Eh?
Transgender?
No.
No?
It will look like if you want to become a lady but you're a man, you have something wrong in your mind. Something wrong in your family, something wrong in you.
So as you can see, even the Maasai tribe cannot even fathom the foolishness happening here in Western society. They cannot fathom the foolishness. Now let's take something into account. The Maasai may be living in huts, but they're by no means in any way, shape, or form confused about reality. They know full and well a man is a man and a woman is a woman. So much so because they live in a society where the genders have to fulfill roles. They don't live in Western civilization where a chick can make money and a guy can make money and everyone can provide for themselves on an individual level, regardless of whether they're accompanied by a spouse. As great as that is that we have that in Western society, because communities like the Maasai do not contain such a cultural practice in their socioeconomic faculties, they don't have any familiarity with the idea of a man being a woman or a woman being a man. These are genders, and there are gender roles assigned to these genders. We go on to see a part of this documentary / movie where this insane doctor by the name of Dr. Michel Forcier.
Have you ever met a 4-year-old who believes in Santa Claus? Mm-hmm. So this is someone who believes that a fat man is traveling through the sky on a flying reindeer at lightning speed, coming down his chimney with presents.
Yeah.
Would you say that this is someone who maybe has a tenuous grasp on reality?
They have an appropriate 4-year-old handle on the
Sure.
reality
Agreed.
that's very real for them.
Agreed. But Santa Claus is real for them, but
Yeah.
Santa Claus is not actually real.
Yeah, well, but Santa Claus does deliver their Christmas presents.
Well, yeah, but he's not real, though.
To that child, they are.
When I see a child who, believes in Santa Claus, and then let's say this is a boy and he says, I'm a girl.
Mm-hmm.
This is someone who can't distinguish between fantasy and reality, so how could you take that as a reality?
Do 4-year-olds even have the capacity to determine whether they want to be something else or even say for sure, I want to take that step? 4-year-olds, nothing they say should ever be entertained. Mommy, I want to be a wolf. Sure, whatever. Go on and do 4-year-old things, 4-year-old. You don't entertain the musings of a 4-year-old. Like Matt Walsh says, a 4-year-old cannot even distinguish between fact and reality. A 4-year-old is 4. They've only been in reality for 4 years. They cannot fathom, they cannot comprehend, they are completely unaware of reality in every capacity possible. How on God's green earth, you enlighten me, could a 4-year-old be ready to make such a decision? And this woman goes on to say that the patient can receive such support in making these changes and be reinforced in the idea of making these changes and make these changes when they so choose.
At what age does the medical transition begin with medication?
So medical affirmation begins when the patient says they're ready for it.
It goes on to argue that gender isn't really real. It's a constellation, right? Now, a constellation of stars is obviously an amalgamation of many stars that form sometimes a shape, or it's just a shitload of stars. She goes on to say that a female chicken isn't really a female chicken. I mean, can you ask the chicken if it's female? Sure, it's laid an egg, but how do we know it's really female? Watch.
Male gametes. That's what makes me male.
No, your sperm don't make you male.
Then what does?
It's a constellation.
In reality, in truth, okay?
Whose truth are we talking about?
The same truth that says we're sitting in this room right now, you and I.
No, you're not listening.
If I see a chicken laying eggs and I say that's a female chicken laying eggs, did I assign female, or am I just observing a physical reality that's happening in the world?
Does a chicken have gender identity? Does a chicken cry?
Well,
Does a chicken commit suicide? Let's
What does that have to do
frame
with-
it, because you're trying
The chicken has sex like any
a
biological
chicken has
organism.
an assigned gender, but a chicken doesn't have a gender identity.
So we assign female to chickens when they lay eggs?
We assume they're female if they lay eggs.
This woman is clearly psychologically absent. It's clear as day that she's not all there. And listen to the way that she speaks to Matt Walsh. It's clear that she has a long history of speaking with small children. She speaks to him as if he is a child, as if he is on the level of a small child. She has spent so much time conversing with humans incapable of distinguishing fact from reality that she has built such a habit. She's built such a strong habit of speaking in this manner of talking down to a child that when she's across the room from a grown man speaking to him, she can't help but talk to him like she's the one who knows everything and he's the 4-year-old. This woman is insane. This conversation goes far beyond the borders of insanity. And I can't help but wonder, how is this happening? Who is funding this? Genuinely, I would like to know, who is funding this? I'm curious. It always boggles my mind. Where do these weird ideas come from? There is nothing wrong with gender or gender roles. We live in a society now where people want gender roles, but they don't necessarily want to be held to them, right? A lot of women say that they want a man to pick up the gun and defend the house when someone breaks in, but they don't want to cook or clean. A lot of y'all dudes demand that a woman is submissive and supportive, but dog, you're out of shape. Gee, you don't make enough money to provide. How can she be in her feminine? How can he be in his masculine, or the utmost feminine or masculine they can bring to the table, when you don't even fulfill your end of the bargain? We live in a society now where particularly we have women demanding the utmost amount of masculinity from men while simultaneously acting like gender or gender roles don't exist. And what you see in a lot of these far left-wing women is gender doesn't exist. We don't need men. Men are trash. Men are garbage. But when you see the kind of men that they personally choose in their lives, big, strong, muscular dudes, big old beard, dudes that look like they would fight a damn bear, but simultaneously telling the world gender roles don't matter. But they select and choose based on how aggressive and masculine a man is. There's nothing wrong with wanting a partner that exudes the utmost amount of masculinity or femininity, depending upon what you're into. There's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing. But the documentary becomes a little more sobering, where a woman who received surgery to transition into being a male is now living with an infection that could possibly kill them. I'm not going to say him or her, but kill them. It's sobering, right? The fact that a lot of these people come out of these surgeries and things of that nature never being the same. Never being the same. It's a very big decision to decide that you don't want to be your assigned gender at birth anymore. It's a big decision. A decision you can't necessarily go back and change. People should not be encouraged, especially as children, particularly as children. If you're an adult, if people want to encourage you, so be it. But when you are a child, you don't have the mental faculties necessary to make these decisions. When you're a child, especially a young girl, your emotions can be anything at any time, especially young boys. Young boys don't come out the womb all manly and knowing everything and emotionless and stoic. Even little boys don't know. They're swayed by emotion just as much as these girls. What could they possibly know? What knowledge do they have to make these massive decisions? They're unaware. They don't know. And that's the reality of the situation, is they're young children. They don't have the capacity to understand the gravity of the sacrifice that they are making. These adults who are speaking to them are so caught up in this reality, so caught up in this dream of forming this new America where nothing really means anything and you can be whatever you want to be. And they're so desperate to pull young children into that reality instead of realizing this is a fragile mind. This is a young, fragile mind that does not and cannot comprehend the severity of what you are telling them. Cannot comprehend. In any way, shape, or form can they comprehend. And yet you still choose in your mind to push this narrative, to push your ideals on them, and push them into making a decision that can ruin their lives forever. Forever. This is not to be played with. We're entering into a reality where people are trying to take little children and mold them into something that they are not. Let kids be kids. It seems like my generation was the last and the luckiest. All of you late 90s, early 2000s babies, we're the luckiest. We got to have fairly normal childhoods without teachers putting foolishness in our heads. But now these late 2000s, early 2010s, 2020 babies, it looks like all hell is about to break loose for them.